I've given thought when I saw the name of the podcast, Ways to Wealth, right? As you said, I've been an opportunist along the way because when I see business opportunities where I can grab some cash, get some money along the way, then I do that. But with this, now I see wealth a different way because especially in an AI era, I think with the advancement of AI, our productivity is going to be boosted on a unprecedented level. So the way you define value and wealth will change.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ways to Wealth. Today I'm joined by Will Zhang. Will, why don't you give us the TLDR on what you're working on and kind of what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for inviting me. We've been building these AI companions for the last 2 years. So it's pretty much a mental health companion that offers from like emotional support up to specific mental health issue support like autism and say relationship issues and things like this. So far since the launch of our app in 2024, we've got around 450,000 users from around the world. That's what we've been doing for the last two and a half years.
Yeah, cool. So, you'd worked at a number of other kind of startups leading up to that. What was the real catalyst that got you to kind of take the plunge in 23 when you started building? I think it was 23. When you incorporated.
In the year before 2023, at the beginning of 2022, I started working for a tech company that develops a social app focusing on bringing the migrant communities and the local businesses together in New Zealand. We did that for a year, and then ChatGPT happened. Then I saw an opportunity in AI solutions and things like that. What actually got us into developing EmoEx, it's a funny story. So a couple of friends, we were sitting together and one guy was late for the coffee catch-up. And then he just told us that he had the worst road rage incident ever. And then we just laughed together and thought, hey, why don't we build an AI companion where you can just curse at it without it fighting back with you so that you can unload all your negativity. That's actually how we got started. And then we dig into it a bit deeper, and then we found out there's huge supply and demand issue within the mental health sector, in
how many people that can serve people with mental health issues versus those that face issues day to day.
Yeah, the problem is a lot of us don't know that we have any mental health issues. There's a study shows that 1 in 3 New Zealanders actually face some sort of mental health issues throughout their lives. Yeah, and we have a ratio of say 15 therapists or psychiatrists to 100,000 people in New Zealand. So you kind of see that gap there. Yeah.
So this is a way to get immediate feedback without having to deal with kind of the supply-demand issue, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and the problem is we don't see a way that, by actually training humans to bridge that gap, because the current pace of producing those therapists and psychiatrists takes a very long time. It requires a lengthy period of time to become accredited to become a therapist. So we saw that opportunity in AI companions, and along the way we've been working with 6 universities from around the world in research, trying to bridge the gap, not only by offering a AI companion, but creating tools that helps training the human healthcare professionals.
Right, okay. So kind of really trying to get some more adoption as well on the human psychiatrist space as well, because by the sounds that you have quite a lot of consumer demand and sign-ups, but you're almost kind of going with almost like an ecosystem play. Is that the strategy behind the tools for the actual professionals then as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly as you said, it's an ecosystem we're trying to create. the fact that we're developing AI solutions, but we are a true believer that AI won't replace any human healthcare professionals. That's why we're creating this ecosystem where our AI will be able to give you the companionship, the support, and then create reports around where you're sitting at in terms of your mental health status. And then we'll bring in a network of clinicians to help you to make that diagnosis and then give you that real in-person support and treatment. At the same time, in 2025, in March, we started our own AI Health Innovation Hub, where we're bringing clinicians, organizations, and universities together to do the research and then find solutions in order to enrich that ecosystem that we have.
And how does that get a little bit complex with kind of like funding and how you get that sorted, or do you like how do you guys solve that? Like, you know, when you're building this kind of research hub and you're kind of trying to build this out, how do you kind of do that while obviously running the business of the business?
Yeah, it was. I have to say, it's a rough start. When we started, it was at the beginning of 2023, and that's, you know, the AI kind of just jumped into everybody's daily life, and the few friends of us, we were bootstrapping, each invested time, money into this, and then we've been lucky to get additional investors as angel investors along the way to keep our runway a bit longer. You know, pretty much what we're trying to do is to stay relevant. As you know, we were chatting earlier, everything is changing so fast. The AI technology is changing fast as well. As you could see that OpenAI just released ChatGPT, GPT Health. So that's another strong player in the sector. What we're trying to do is just to stay relevant, creating our own competitive edge by combining the human side of things, the scientific side, the science side of things, and the AI's technology together. And then I think as people understand more and more about AI, we're getting more interest from investors from around the world, you know, trying to be part of us on this journey.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because you have the foundation model providers, and then you have kind of some of the other kind of more established LLM providers, but they might be running on obviously other people's LLMs too. Like Perplexity is, I would say, the most obvious case of that. Yeah. And then you've got very specific use cases and niche products, which I would kind of categorize you guys in, right? That are going very deep, going narrower and deeper. And then it's a really interesting dynamic because the guys that you're working with, I don't know which models you are using, whether you're going with Anthropic or maybe an open source models, or you're probably experimenting
with OpenAI.
Okay, you are working with OpenAI. Yeah, so you're kind of, but I know that there's not too much buy-in. You guys can switch quite easily if you need to at any other point, or you choose to, depending on how things develop. Like we mentioned, that things are changing quite quickly. What do you see that from an exit perspective, and not just like for like returns, but for sustainability, right? Like, how do you fit into the market when you do have, like, I would say, Gemini, Perplexity, and OpenAI that almost feel like they just keep eating more and more and more of the market?
Yeah, I guess that's a question we got asked very often by our investors and people we talk to. The way our business is set up is AI is a tool, is a platform that we use to do what we do. But the core of our business is around the scientific database and how we set up the database so that AI can retrieve it better, so we can build our own metrics around how we analyze mental health in that space. The AI Health Innovation Hub helps us to bring in around 70 clinicians from around the world to work with us on not only just regurgitating the medical journals, but actually building it to a better user experience so that you can feel like you're actually talking to a therapist, although we're not offering any medical advice or treatment, but as a companion, it has a lot of scientific backings into it. So I have to say that we spend the majority of our time building those scientific database, coming up with our own metrics, and also working with clinicians so that we can actually build a solution. It just happens to be driven by AI.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how do you think about things like BetterHelp and stuff like that? Is there licensing opportunities, do you think, over time, or do you think you will just focus on your own ecosystem? You've already got quite a lot of adoption. I'm assuming, what's the biggest region? I guess that would be kind of interesting. Asia. Yeah. So that's also interesting, given obviously a lot of the foundational models and the kind of consumer products are very Western focused.
I think there are two parts to your question. First of all, the reason we recruit clinicians from around the world and from different cultural backgrounds is that we can sort of reduce that bias to a certain level, especially with cultural bias and things like this. We build local database, knowledge database as well. So say, for example, mental health is strictly connected to your cultural background. Certain values doesn't work, say the Western values doesn't work with anything in Middle East or in the Southeast Asia region. So we're building a network so that we can stay relevant in every region in that sense. So it's a lengthy journey that we're going through.
And how have you found a way to grow to so many users so quickly?
I think we were riding the wave of AI at that time. So what we did is that we work 20 hours a day pumping out the first version of our app and the website. So when everyone is still talking about AI and how AI is going to change the world, we released that app. So we got, at one point, we're gaining up to 4,000 users a day at that time. We didn't spend much on marketing at all. I come from a marketing background, so I had my own marketing agency back in China. I've been working in marketing in New Zealand for 8 years before I jumped onto the AI stuff. Pretty much we just did Facebook and Google marketing. We're spending as low as $50 a day, and we were quickly gaining that uptake with that AI, with that solution.
Yeah, that's cool. And what's the business model?
We initially had it was a quite simple and straightforward subscription model. So you use our services, you have 7 days for free for trial, and then you go on to a $5.99 per month subscription model. But now, as we started this ecosystem, that business model going to change, going to be more complex. So from a basic subscription model, we have a referral model as well, because we're linking our services to the local psychiatrists. And then we have a licensing model as well, because our AI is being used by other organizations as well. We've been testing our models on robots as well. We've got an active project going on with Lincoln University from the UK to try AI-supported robotics in a education setting, where we provide the mental health support and the language function. The robot provides
Did you focus
the
on,
presence.
so you guys focused heavily on voice or exclusively on voice?
Voice and text.
So there's text. What has the usage been like? Has it been more voice or has it been
More text.
More text?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, mental health is a sensitive subject.
Right. So people don't want to vocalize it.
No, that's the case.
Ah.
Yeah.
Is it do you have that in your head of like the split between voice and... Because it's quite different, isn't it? But I guess more of your user base, what's the sort of demographic? Is it a demographic thing where they're more text orientated? Because I know a lot of younger users are.
No, actually, we haven't seen that trend, the split yet.
Right.
Pretty much the majority of our conversations happens in text form. Yeah, funny when we say this because we see this as an understanding already because you don't actually vocalize your own thoughts. You're talking about private things with our AI, so it's the same thought process as we were trying to design a referral system within our apps so that you can refer this app to a friend. But we end up didn't do it because you don't want your friend to know that you have a mental health issue.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thought process.
Yeah, that makes
and I
total
think
sense. That makes total sense. Because, like you say, it's sensitive, right? It's not like, a more... I don't know. I had a gaming platform that I grew to a similar user base in a very short period of time, and it's a very different thing promoting a gaming application versus a mental health app. Yeah,
it's a share of a joy or a share of your problem. So
have you tried any influencer stuff? I bet you have a little bit of influencer stuff with it.
No, we haven't.
Oh, okay.
We haven't. We've been trying to get to a few people in New Zealand where they had a bit of trauma as a kid, and then growing up having all sorts of issues with depression and things like this. They were already quite vocal on the social media, but AI was a new thing, so it wasn't successful. But we've been working with all sorts of healthcare organizations. We've been building a demo for the Breast Cancer Foundation where their patients can come online and find information around mammograph and things like this.
Right.
The NHS has been using our services in training sessions where their psychologists can use to interact with our AI to gain feedback around their consultation skills and things like that. But in terms of social influences, we haven't done much around that.
Yeah, I know. I just noticed the BetterHelp and some of those kind of therapy type startups in the US and other places, because there's quite a few of them, have all done podcasts quite a lot and other kind of referral programs. I just wondered if it was something that you might do, but I guess you're going with a more clinical entry level kind of position, because you can obviously over time work with those guys, and it creates, if you're the tool of use, the tool of choice for clinicians and certain practitioners, that's going to be very helpful. It's going to be a different cycle though, right? Do you find that people find you first, or have you found that they're already getting help of some description before they...
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because we've been thinking about that all the time. We're trying to find out where the first touch point would be for our users, before or after their, in-human consultations. What we find is a larger problem in the current system, that every government is treating mental health awareness as a sort of support So governments and organizations been running awareness campaigns and things like that, but that actually doesn't help the system filter through patients and provide that prevention support. So what we're trying to do is to be the first touch point. We will provide prevention support. Say if somebody is having a bad day and they really want to talk about it with someone, but hard to find a friend that can trust to talk about it, then they can use our software and start chatting with us. And then we have quite a comprehensive detection system. If we detect that you have some sort of issue in a specific area, then we'll refer them to clinicians. So that's a really interesting point. What we're working on in 2026 is to create a dashboard for our users, where you can see, you can reflect on your emotional journey, and also that report upon consent, or if you choose, you can take that report to clinicians. That offers a in-depth insight into your mental status. So for our users, it probably saves 4 or 5 sessions to get to let the therapist understand you, and for clinicians, you kind of know this patient a bit more before you actually start the sessions. It's easier for them to build a rapport to provide a efficient
they get kind of
consultation.
some context, I guess, if they had like transcripts of the conversations with the AI agent, if they were allowed. I mean, if they were given permission.
No, we don't actually keep the conversational history.
Okay, so that's probably a big user benefit, right?
Yeah.
You're not keeping the user logs.
Yeah, data breach happens to the best of us, right? Microsoft, everybody had that problem. So within our app, I think people talk about sensitive issues, and we just doing everything we can to minimize the risk of data breach. So we don't keep conversational histories, but we keep a pseudo summary. So there's no biometric information, just a piece of summary for our AI to memorize, to give context to what's been talked about. It's more like a doctor's medical note. So,
how do you there's now like a growing discussion around LLMs and the ability for them to scale further than this, and there's some diminishing returns, and obviously there is inherently the hallucination issue.
Yeah.
How do you guys like use techniques to battle that? Have you like found that? Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not mental health and how someone feels and how you engage and are empathetic is not so deterministic as some hallucinations where you're like, hey, give me an answer, and they give you a wrong answer. But do you find that you guys have had to work on hallucinations and trying to work on that, I guess, long-term memory if you're obviously cutting out a lot of the information?
Yeah, sure. So the way that's where we spend most of our time on to create this structure of the summary, so that it provides all the necessary information without giving out the specific biometric information that can pinpoint back to anyone. We in terms of hallucinations, we have a strict rule that we build our own scientific database. We're not taking anything from the public domain. So we regulate the AI to only retrieve information from a database. But yet we have to constantly monitor how AI performs. I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
So with the autism ally, autistic people have the sensory overwhelm issue, and then that results in it's hard to go to a party or things like this because of the noise, meeting new people and things like this. So it happened in one of the NHS training sessions where one therapist asked our AI, hey, I'm going to this party, I'm not good at socializing, what kind of advice would you give to me? and AI says, hey, you need to prepare this, but a few topics before you go so that you're familiar, you got something to talk about, and then you should make eye contact.
Right.
And that's a bad advice because people with autism doesn't do eye contact often. It really depends on the person, but the majority of the time people tend to avoid eye contact. So we had to go back and fine-tune the AI so that it doesn't offer the same advice again.
That anyone would ask. Are there any... I guess that's an oversight of the condition in a sense. It's like because I was watching this thing actually, this video about it before, and it's kind of the first guy that started kind of talking about, I can't remember his name actually. Gary Marcus. Have you heard of him?
No.
He was kind of talking about like the inability. He was talking about the inability of LLMs to scale, or that there's some diminishing returns, and actually the kind of issue is around that kind of level 1 thinking versus level 2 thinking, and AI, or not AI, LLMs are excelling in level 1 thinking. Yeah. And there's issues around level 2 thinking. And I guess that's kind of the same thing of like LLMs are really great at data retrieval of what has happened, but not necessarily what's new. It's
that's true.
Which is really interesting, right? Because we rely, and I think humans want level 2, right?
Yeah.
Humans really want level 2 thinking from the AI models because they essentially want solutions, whereas the current regime of LLMs is they're really great at, hey, here's some context.
Yeah.
And that's why it's working really well in programming and stuff like that, because the knowledge is known, the information has been on Quora and all sorts of places for years and years and years. Easy to troll through, very hard to have that kind of subsequent level 2 thinking.
That's true.
How close do you think it is, or where do you think that next level comes from? That next step up.
I think this is something that we kept talking about because when you go to a conference, and especially digital healthcare conference, when people mention the use of AI, people say we always need to get this human in the middle approach.
Yeah.
But I guess in a lot of situations where people don't talk about the details in how human remains in the middle of the or be part of the process adapting AI, and that's the key question we should ask, or developers should ask, and that's the only way that you can make sure that AI has the sort of level 2 thinking, because you need a human to take the AI through to that part. The current, as you said, the current LLMs provide you with the context, but it's the human's experience. Experience is another key word. AI doesn't have experience at the moment. The human experience, working with human, will guide the AI through to that level 2 thinking. I think I'm not a tech guy, so I can't say how far it is away for AI to develop that level 2 thinking on its own. But I'm thinking from my experience in the past 2 years, is the developers and the product designers to mimic that level 2 thinking with human in the entire AI service process. Then you achieve that before the tech giants achieve
it natively. Yeah, so you'll get some kind of hacked together version of like basically sequences of events that can try and replicate kind of more, I guess, forecasting-esque features of going kind of consequences down a tree. Just some sort of decision tree. Whereas, and they are obviously doing that at the moment, but there seems to be obviously a gap between, obvious first glance answers versus something's been missed. And that's the risk for us humans, right, as we adopt it more, is reliance and complacency, and then making mistakes.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's a human discipline thing. That's a team culture thing. But like, it's definitely a consequence that I even think about when I'm using it. And my AI stack is large. I'm using it across product development, marketing, sales, internal ops, admin. You name it. We're seeing how we can utilize and deploy solutions to help our team.
Yeah, I mean, one alarming thing that I've seen along the ways of using AI, I'm a heavy AI user as well. I'm not native in English, so I have to get the AI to refine, to proofread a lot of my writings and things like that. But one thing I found is that, at the beginning, when you just started using AI, you always criticize in the answers, right? Whether it makes sense, whether it has all the talking points. But gradually, as you use more and more of AI, because it sounds so good, it sounds so smooth, then you lose that
critical thinking almost,
skills. Because it always makes sense, because that's what AI is built for. It makes sense.
Yes, it's built to make
sense.
So
then you lose that guard, and then you let AI influence you in terms of your communications with other people, and that's quite alarming.
Yeah, and is the data kind of clear that it's helping in terms of the mental health space at this stage? And the adoption seems really high. Even if people aren't using your solution, they're also trying to get what you're providing in a more robust way, perhaps. It seems like, from what I've been reading, is that people are utilizing it in a very lonely world, finding kind of connection. And I guess with an AI, you're not afraid to necessarily ask or make the statements. Whereas in a normal sense, when you've got maybe you struggle with conflict, you might not be able to get out what you're trying to say the way you want to say it. Whereas
I mean, we've done this research with the University of Lincoln on a robotic within a education setting. Right, what we found out is that the kids are more open to talk to a robot than to their teachers and to their parents. So they will share more of their experience, bad or good, with the robot, AI-driven robot, than with their human friends. And that happens across all of our companions as well, in autism, ADHD, especially in relationship companions. People tend to share more with AI. Yeah.
Is it because AI is so compliant?
Yeah. We've been.
Well, maybe that's different. Maybe it's just that we are more comfortable because we don't feel judged.
Yeah.
But AI is inherently quite compliant. Do you tune certain companions to be more combative?
Yeah. A term that we use is toxic positivity.
Okay.
Because when you receive positive feedback all the time, all day long, then you get tired of it. You get frustrated because you're not getting meaningful conversations. What we're trying to do is to get the AI to provide, more assertive advice to the topic, as opposed to being compliant all the time. We're halfway there. We're not really successful because we can't balance. We're struggling to balance out, how assertive you need to be and how good of a listener you want to be. So it's a balancing act that we're trying to do there.
There's a lot of talk about how rumination is it can go too far and be a bad thing, right? One to ruminate for too long. How do you deal with that when dealing with your clients and trying to help them express their feelings without going in a loop?
Yeah, at the moment, the couple of things. So we use the traditional CBT sort of therapeutic methodologies by asking all kinds of questions, trying to dig deeper into the client's issues. Apart from that, once I got a feedback from an American lady, although we're not promoting in the States, but we got around 4,000 users from the States. And one lady wrote back to me and said, hey, the EmoEx team, I've been using your services for the last 6 months. I have depression. I've been using it for 6 months, and then finally I found that, it seems like I'm going around a loop. You're not actually providing anything meaningful to me. And I was so happy to receive that feedback. And I wrote back to her, I said, although we're trying to provide a companion to you, but this is not a treatment. You should go to your local healthcare providers and find real help. That's and she said, yeah, you've been telling me that the AI has been telling her to go to a healthcare professional. Right. So all I'm saying is that it's at the early stage. We can't provide in-depth things. So that's why we're building the clinicians network as well, so that at a stage that we can refer our users to a human healthcare provider.
Yeah, that makes sense to go down the ecosystem path based on that, especially if you're able to make that seamless for the client, so that they're not having to do too much work. I guess it's hard when you would be kind of region locked. I guess you'll have to go region by region with that approach. But yeah, like you say, perhaps the overall impacts can be greater because you're able to have that full service kind of pathway and user experience. But yeah, it's so good that you get that sort of feedback, and it kind of makes sense. I bet you probably already knew before that was kind of going to happen, where the people are, especially when you're in crisis, right, and you're in that moment, you want that feedback. That's, I think, where the biggest value is. And then, like you say, can you get them the help then they then need from that crisis point? Lowering the temperature and then passing them off.
De-escalate the situation.
If de-escalation is the real kind of use case that's seemingly profound because it's immediate, it's tangible, and then you might be able to save someone another 3 days of kind of what could have been boiling up into something worse. You can kind of take the tone down a little bit. Interesting. You worked in a few different roles. They were quite entrepreneurial, and there were startups as well. So you're obviously interested in tech and business ownership. You had your own agency. Like, at what kind of time in your life did you decide, I'm going to be an entrepreneur? Was it just forever?
I'm in my 40s, and I've been doing business for more than 25 years. So I guess I never wanted to be sitting in the office, do an office job. I always wanted to do something on my own. So when I was in uni in England, I was helping the university recruiting students from China. Then I went on, so that's how I got my tuition fees paid back then.
Smart.
Yeah, and then I was involved in a professional football team back in China. So I was the interpreter. When I went back to China after my graduation, went back to China. I'm always a football fan. So I went to work for a football team, and that's how I got connected to different media and press and things like this. Then I found my passion in marketing. That's how I started the whole marketing business. So, I guess I always wanted to do things on my own and trying to sort of get some money along the way. So,
I think that you think the average individual is going to have a higher quality of life and are going to have the means in a more easy way to get what they want because of generally where the world's going in the next 5 years?
In material terms, yes, you will have food at cheaper price, maybe. You will have, say, a computer will cost a lot less than what it is now, because activity level is going really high. When you're trying to define quality of life, I'll share one experience that I'm experiencing. So before the AI age, as a business owner, when you have a project, you break down the project, you find your staff to do different set of things, right? Say, for example, you ask one of your staff to do this research. He goes back to his desk, and 1 day later, he comes, asks you another question. He goes back again to do the research, comes back 3 days later. And then based on that research, you make a decision on where to go, how we proceed. But at the moment, AI does a lot of the research work. So when you say, go back and do this research, he comes back in 2 minutes saying that here's the research. From the AI, I double-checked on the resources. I think it's true. Then you make a macro decision on the point. So you end up making 10 times or 20 times more decisions in a day as a business owner. You're probably creating more money than before, but you'll find your mental health dropping. The stress level and the anxiety that you have in your mind is growing really fast. So when I think about the ideal situation in the future is that people use AI as a tool to to boost productivity. At the same time, you can use AI in a form to help you to find that calm in your own mind and pursue a better well-being through either our apps or our ecosystem, so that you remain as a human in a way. That would be my ideal, situation.
So your vision for the future is that essentially people are going to hopefully have more of the necessities that we over time have obviously come accustomed to, and it has in many ways abundance of access to whatever you desire, even if it's negative, right? In the case of kind of alcohol and drugs, etc., that are permeating through many societies these days. Your vision for the future is that, and it's not necessarily, this is the kind of what you see happening, is that basically it's going to create a tension and a stress to do things and take action that's going to be very unsettling for our psyche.
Yeah.
And obviously that's why you're building what you're building. And you're going through a bit of your own discovery of what that means for you and what that means from a, I guess, household life perspective.
Yeah, and one other thing I really want to stress is that with the AI Health Innovation Hub, we're not only working on solutions, we got a group of people from different expertise to think about ethics and governance and guardrails for our AI. One example is that we had a choice to make our voice function more realistic. It's going to be really hard to tell whether you're talking to a human or AI, but we chose not to because if you can't tell the difference, then you grow that attachment with the AI so that you lose the point at the touch with the society, with the friends and people around you, and that's part of the things that we do. So one thing I want to make, in my ideal world, that I want every developer, every government to realize that the fundamental danger of AI is not how the AI taking over our world, taking our jobs, or do this, is that we become too reliant on AI, that we lose our own identity. That's something that we're trying to create through our services, and that sort of ethic is built throughout our product design process as well.
And what do you find your biggest challenges for yourself when you were trying to get to this new state, right? When you're trying to get to this vision that you have, and you're trying to work on kind of bringing an industry along with you, in a sense, to build this ecosystem and create these companions and this connection. What do you feel like the biggest thing that kind of holds you back from that, and kind of is the thing that you feel like you need to work on?
On a personal level, I think first of all, I'm struggling with time. You don't ever find enough time to work, because we have partnerships in the UK, in Dubai, in the States as well, in China. So I'm working around the clock in different time zones. So that's a personal struggle at the moment. And then I think the other one is we have too much noise. I have too much noise around me. So because people keep coming up with new ideas, and sometimes you think, hey, that's a great idea. And then gradually you're getting more and more great ideas, so you lose your focus. What I'm trying to do is to maintain that focus, and sometimes it's not easy. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really good. And given that you're aware of that, that constraint, how have you tried to solve it, and what do you recommend other people do when, there's so much noise? Are there any techniques that you've used to solve that issue?
Yeah, for me personally, I've been meditating recently, and it's helping me a lot. As I said, AI, the efficiency of AI will drive you go faster and faster. So for me, finding that 30 minutes a day to actually calm yourself down without thinking about anything, then you will refocus on what you're trying to achieve. That's been working for me really well.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, just all I'm saying is that just be human. And that's all I can tell myself, and that really works.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And it's good to chat about these things. And it's an exciting world out there. And there's lots of opportunity. And I think we have to be optimistic and kind of be very focused on, solving problems and, reducing the noise and trying to focus on what's the signal in what we're doing.
And be ourselves, right? So,
for sure. Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks a lot.